Wow, I sure do hope that the sun isn't going to bleach this video out. We need to maintain our production value. It's funny. I'm sitting here working on stuff, bow stuff, the way we were intended to. And I had this flash. And you should see what I mean by this. I'm standing in the shadow of giants. I'm amongst greatness. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the people that lived way before and made all these incredible things that allowed them to defend themselves, to get food, to have fun. But I'm working currently on, this is a pattern taken from the traditional Boyer's Bibles, taken from a relic, taken from measurements, and I believe it was Callahan who wrote down the measurements of this. This is the way they were. Softened shoulders here, look at that, constricted, going to needle tips. And I will add, it's not 100% symmetrical. This side is slightly different than this side, just like the original. And so this is a pattern for the Holmgaard. I want to do it right. And so I lifted the measurements in the design, in enlarged pictures, did all that to get my pattern here. And so, sitting here studying this extremely clean elm log, split down the center, you've heard it before, and it's still opening up. And so, I don't want this thing to warp, so I'll wait. At this point, I might be okay taking it outside into the sunshine and the wind to help dry it further, because I want to make sure that this thing is ready to go before I start cutting into it. And I've always likened this to, you got this piece of wood, you want to maximize the use, but not put yourself into the danger zone is trying to get so much out of it you waste it. And so, I don't know. Weigh it very carefully and then just keep weighing it over time to see when then the drop in weight stops, because it's water that we're removing here. Measuring it, I took this right here, this point and this point. Fortunately, it's an even 1.5 inches, and maybe I'll watch it, and if it moves, gets greater than 1.5 inches as it opens up, I'm not going to touch it. But I'm just kind of dreaming here and trying to figure out, how many bows I can get out of this elm. Now you're probably saying, well, I could cut a section out of this and extremely quickly work it into a bow, which should be more stable, and then secure it. Clamp it down, tie it down, do something to keep it from warping if it's drying further, even though it's cut out as a bow. So I need to be really careful here, because this would be very difficult to replace, and then if I replaced it, chances are I'd have to wait a couple of years, until I did it. So I'm going to be very careful here, and then go on and work on other bows. Now, of course, it's a concern that as you go inside, because it's round, it's a triangle, I don't want to get this right to the edge, or else I've just wasted wood. I need to also figure out at which point, going straight in, do I hit the center for the handle, because this has a narrowed, deep handle, not as deep as an American style longbow, but there's a lot of things that go into it. Secondly, this is of great importance. Got a chimenea. It's that steel thing, that you have a fire in it and it's got a chimney on it. I'm like burning bow scraps yesterday, and I'm looking at it. This is a nice, hot, smoky fire. What would I do if I took my grate off of my barbecue grill, stuck it on the top, threw a frozen piece of pork on it, sat back, drank a margarita in the can? I had 2 last night. Full disclosure. Not excessive, but just enough to relax and watch my pork cook. And a couple questions, which wouldn't be questions if I'm burning apple scraps or mesquite, which is the finest barbecue wood in the world. Mesquite. Hard to find in northern Michigan. I'll have to order it on Amazon. Or Hugh will send me a chunk of mesquite. Hi, Hugh. But I was curious, what does it taste like if you're smoking meat, cooking it, over Osage, orange, and elm, and what I had some hickory threw in there. And I have to tell you, there's nothing better than cooking steak over fire, and it was good. The Osage smoke tasted good. Don't do it with yew. It's toxic. Wood smoke and salt make a fine, fine meal. That's all I put on it. Wood smoke, heat, and salt. Thirdly, I get so many questions from people that are just starting out in the world of bow making, and it's like I keep breaking bows. Part of me says, keep doing it. You learn from your mistakes. We paid our dues. We broke a lot of bows. The other part of me is like, I will help you out. Every step of my bow making, I ask myself, from this step to this step to this step, did I screw up? Do I have to correct something, or is it wasted? The first step is, choose your material wisely. Don't try to make it out of pine, or white cedar or something like that. If you want to, especially as a beginner, I do pine and weird stuff like that, just to see. But the stress isn't on me to make a working bow at this point. I'm just doing it for the fun of it. But as a beginner, maximize your chances. Don't use wood that's not going to work. Second, is that wood dry? Don't go out in the woods, cut a small tree, split it, make a bow out of it, and expect it to work. Even though you used good material. You didn't dry the thing. If you have to, after a week or so of drying in the dark without wind, put it in the sun. Then after another week or two, it's patience. You can keep working really fast and not achieve anything, or work slow and achieve your goals. After a couple weeks beyond that of drying outside, stick it in your car and keep it in the sun. Kiln dry it. Be patient. Work it into a bow-like thing. Don't try to get the final tiller. Dry the hell out of it. Dry the heck out of it. And then go. The third thing, this thing that you created. Tillering carefully is, of course, in there. This thing you created could be a bow at 24 inches, piece of firewood at 26 inches of drop. Work within your bow. Don't tell it what to do. Well, once you get better, you can. But let it tell you how far to push it. And third thing, if you want insurance, I'm not saying you're a beginner, it's the first bow you make. Certainly, sinew back it, and wait a couple months, you'll have a bow that's not going to break, chances are. Get some Type Bond, glue a strip of cloth on it. You want to make it fancy, go to Three Rivers Archery or Pine Hollow Longbows. Get a strip of that snakeskin cloth. Glue that on the back. You have just basically eliminated the chances of that bow snapping because of tension. And keep trying. That's the last lesson here. I am done speaking now. I am going to actually take this wood, analyze it, and with my Sharpie, which is right here, lay this bow out on the first. And I'm telling myself I'm going to wait a couple months before I do it, but honestly, I'll probably cut a section out and make a bow and heat treat it, being careful, get the rest of the water out, and make a Holmgaard bow out of elm, in which this original was made out of elm. A different kind of elm. It's the only elm I got. Counts. Now I am done.